Hey everybody, what's going on? Rob Cesternino back. It's Kaôh Rōng. It's episode 7, and it's merge time. That's the name of the episode, and that's exactly what time it is. But no merge vote because Neil has been taken from us. That's it for Neil, and we really end on this cliffhanger of Aubrey's in big trouble, mister, and we are back here with Chappell. Chappell, how are you?
I'm doing better than Neil, but I
Yeah.
am here. I am here and I am ready to talk about the merger of this season. We do take an L here by losing Neil the way we do, but I think this episode was still very interesting, very fun, and I think we got a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, I thought this was really, really good. I know it doesn't end in a vote. It's funny that we had only in San Juan del Sur season 29. It's not that much earlier before. We have a similar situation where we have, okay, it's going to be this big dramatic vote, and we see how it's all going to work out. And then Julie McGee quits. And then this is like really exciting how it's all going to play out. There's this whole push pull of we have it's Brawn versus the Brains, and they're fighting for the beauty. And then ultimately we get that it looks like it's probably going to be Aubrey who gets voted out here. In the Nick and Michelle are ready to flip to work with the Brawn because they kind of think that they're dumb and they're not going to be able to, like, they'll be able to, they're smarter than them. And ultimately we get that this kind of was, I know you were looking to see if Neil was able to pass the idol to Aubrey, but I'll say this, he kind of did.
How so?
He fell on the sword.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He is sacrificed so that
Yeah.
Aubrey will go on to
Yes.
win Survivor 50.
Yes.
But he still could have gave her that idol. That's all I'm gonna say.
He could have, but
He
you
could've.
change one thing. You start pulling at these threads of history now. Maybe she doesn't win Survivor 50.
But she might have won this season.
She might have won this season, but she won 2 million.
But then she could have won Winners at War, Rob.
That's true. That's true. No, this all worked out perfectly. Neil fell on the sword. It took a long way to get there, but it was a beautiful story.
And it is honestly hard to watch, and not so much like that it's like a heavy episode, because it's really not. The thing that's hard to watch about it for me is that they're so cavalier about these infections. They're bragging about them basically. Like, hey, Jeff, I got another one. I got one right here. Oh, well, you should see the one I got. Meanwhile, the lawyers are like, Jeff, I'm sorry, we need to step in. Like, you have to do something about this. Just like, what? It's just okay, it's an infection. We had a doctor out here lancing them. They're fine. Peter did all that good work. These people are fine. The next day, Jeff shows up like, so yeah, I know I told y'all that everything was fine, but we had to bring in Dr. Rupert of all people.
Dr. Rupert. Yeah, I don't even think it was the next day. I think it was at the challenge. Jeff was like, wow, it's like it's a badge of honor that you have, that if you don't have one, you're not cool.
Everybody was talking about it. But I listened to Neil's exit press, and he was talking about how he knew that potentially the medical staff was going to be coming. I think they were looking at these infections, and at first it seemed like all fun and games. Ty's like, yeah, I climbed a mango tree, but I got some scratches. Aubrey's like, I got this big thing right here. He's like, yeah, meet Mount St. Neil, and all this other stuff. They're nicknaming these infections. Everybody's having a good time. And then the next day, it's not as good, right? It's like the realization is starting to come on people's face. Like, it starts with Ty getting pulled over. Like, Ty, come, let me just look at let me look at the thing on your leg. They're like, all right, Ty, you good? They get to Aubrey. There's a big pause. And Rob, you want to talk about like lucky breaks that she got? Aubrey could have got medevac in this episode.
She could have. It's interesting. So many of them seem to have gotten these infections like in a very similar spot, like this like inner thigh. Like the Ty one makes sense because he climbed the tree, but Scott has the same thing. And then also Aubrey has it in basically the same place. And it's this really wild sequence that there's nothing else like it in Survivor history, where it's just like triage. It's almost like only from earlier this season where we had all the medical evacuations at once, where Dr. Rupert is checking everybody's infection and getting like all Dr. Pimple Popper, like squeezing the thing. And there's some people, this is their favorite episode. They love it so much.
Uh-oh.
But for the most part, it's like, okay, we're squeezing it. It's firm. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Could be hard. Maybe we'll put you on antibiotics, but we're gonna watch you. Jeff would just watch this happen. And I think at first he didn't. I don't think at first he was taking it seriously. It really did feel like once Rupert came in, Dr. Rupert,
Yeah.
MD, once he came in, he's kind of like, I don't know about these infections. Like you could see the tone shift, even in the editing, like you get the music, the serious sounds.
Yeah.
And Jeff's like, hey, Neil, why don't you just why don't you walk over
They didn't
here?
even look at Joe's finger.
No, they had bigger fish to fry. There were other issues, and that's one of my other issues is that if this is the new era, none of these people are speaking up. Like, all right, show me your infections, huh? What? What infection? What are you talking about?
They
Yeah,
know.
no, we're not gonna say we're not what infection. What are
Mhm.
you talking about? Look no further than is that Jackson from 42 being like, "What? I'm not having withdrawals. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?" Like, okay, so I fudged the numbers on how much medication I was taking and which medication. Like, you're not gonna really evacuate. Yes, we are. We're taking you out of the game.
Yeah.
So back then, I don't think they realized how serious this was until Dr. Rupert showed up and really started cracking skulls.
They prescribe Aubrey antibiotics. I can't recall. I'm sure it's happened.
I'm
I
sure it's
can't
happened.
recall another survivor that it's ever been on, maybe not ever on the screen, that they prescribe antibiotics to. I kind of would have thought and I didn't remember this detail, but I think if you would have asked me earlier this morning about like, can a survivor player go on antibiotics during the game? I think I probably would have said, I think they would pull that person. I don't think that they would let them be on antibiotics and stay in the game.
Yeah, but we watched it happen with Aubrey, and like you
Yeah.
said, I have to believe it's happened before because to me, that's something that you give them antibiotics, you watch them, but it's not something where I have to be concerned about them in the moment. If you think that antibiotics will clear it up, then it's not dire. It just needs to be, kind of treated. But you don't have to leave the game to get it. It's not going to be affecting you in challenges or anything like that, and so maybe that's why. But yeah, they did it so cavalier.
Yeah.
Like, we're just going to give her antibiotics and watch. I was thinking, no, well, I would really like to know who else in Survivor history has gotten like some type of medication from production, not through other
Mhm.
means, because I know that
Yeah.
happens too.
That happens too. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder also if any part of like the decision making that they had to do in this spot is influenced by Caleb's already been medically evacuated. Now Neil is going to be medically evacuated. It's day 19 and we're losing people at a clip that is it affecting the game. We know that they're going to have to do the thing later on in the season where we're going to have a challenge just to vote out somebody from the jury. I think we're sort of like teetering into like, are we going to have a final two in this season? Do you think that any part of them were like we can't really lose that many people?
Yeah, that's a good point, right? Like in a typical situation, would they give them antibiotics? Maybe not. But this time around, we lost Caleb. We're about to lose Neil. What if we were like, nope, Aubrey, you got to go too? That really does affect the way the show is going. I don't know if you still have to vote out a juror at that point, like we will do later on with one of these jurors.
Mhm.
But yeah, I definitely think that there's something there where at what point are you just gonna be like, "Dang, we messed this up, and we really got them out here in conditions that are not livable?" The fact that they're getting infections doesn't seem to be a condition of the island. It just happens to be what's going on with this group of people. I know that jokingly talked about maybe it was Peter lancing those wounds for people, but even Dr. Rupert says it. He says, "Now I could lance these wounds for you, Aubrey, but then infections might not. Then listen, the infection's gonna come out." But infection might come in too.
Might go in.
And yeah, and poor Joe is over there like, huh? What? What are you talking about? Well, infection could come in. So so you would say you shouldn't be lancing those things out here without any type of upkeep, right? So yeah, I think that's probably a good point. I mean, how many people are you going to lose to medevac in this season if you just
And we're still going to lose Joe of
still got one
doing
more?
nothing to do with these
Yeah,
infections. I'm sorry
yeah.
to laugh. The Neil thing also, I totally forgot about this. I remember Neil had the bad knee, But Dr. Rupert is inspecting everybody and he's like, "Oh, you want to see something really gross? Check out my back." And I've never seen anything like this on a human body before. What happened to Neil on his back?
Yeah, so what somehow it was punctured. We're not quite sure how, but like, he got a cut on his back, but now it looks nasty. And the craziest part about it looking so nasty is that still wasn't the reason why he was medevac. They take so much time and care on his back. Jeff's like, "Hey, go sit down in a nice, clean, dry area."
Yeah.
He goes over there. He's showing off his back, like, "Yeah, I'm thinking about naming the little guy." And you can kind of see everybody looking like, "Does he understand?" It looked like he had a spider on his face, and nobody wanted to tell him. And so they're like, Neil, why don't we just take a look? But then very quickly they said, "No, the back is good. Flip back over." Yeah, it's that leg. It's that thigh. It's that knee.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very close to the joint. I think you're gonna have to go.
Yeah, they tell Neil that it's too close to the joint. He could like lose the ability to use the joint, and that's not something that they're gonna let him take the chance, even though Neil feels like that he can stay in the game. And this is tough to watch for Neil. This is a gut punch, like a repeated gut punch for Neil. It was his dream to come out here. He comes out here, doesn't get a lot of airtime, ultimately gets pulled from the game against his will. And then Jeff tells him, like, "Hey, Neil, don't worry. Okay. You're gonna be out of the game. You're gonna go get patched up, but you're gonna come back and you're gonna be a juror. And you're gonna have a say in who you it won't be you, but you will have a say in who will win this game."
Your job here is not done. Your job here is not done.
You
It's
still
a
have
big
more work to do. So
it's a
all is
big
not totally
responsibility.
lost, Neil.
At least you made jury, as Abby Maria once said. You know?
Hmm. Yep.
Yep. Can't wait to see what he says on the jury.
Yep. Neil has kind of a spicy line that he says to everybody when they're like, "Okay, we'll let you go say goodbye to everybody."
Yeah, and I believe it's something to the effect of, "All right, all y'all, consider yourselves lucky. They're taking me out the game."
So that was there. The seeds of Neil were there.
I love it. I've I've turned on Neil again. I'm back. I'm back at the Neil party. Like, I'm back. I'm a fan. I'm a stan, a dirty, dirty stan. This man is a freaky frog. He's so funny. And unintentionally funny. I don't think his jokes are funny. I think he is, as a character, is funny. But yeah, like, it's an absurd ride that he's on. And on top of that, he's medevac from this game, and we don't even get the Neil will be back to be in the next in Avengers
No.
Endgame. Like, we don't get that. We just saw that happen for
He
Caleb.
wasn't a game changer.
The show doesn't even pretend that he is. They don't even be like, and Neil wants We're like, hell, why didn't he get a card?
I mean, he kind of changed the game more than Caleb. He's the first person to ever be voted out of the jury. Like, he kind of like he has like a more of a claim to fame of changing things than with all due respect to Beast Mode Cowboy.
He has a thing. Yeah, this was tough. Because I did listen to the Exit Press, and he was talking about how he got to Ponderosa. He had to spend the night or two in the hospital for the infection and stuff. But when he got back to Ponderosa, he said, "I was working out. I was ready." This is fresh off the heels. Like, they know Survivor Cambodia is going to happen, right? They know a second chance season is coming. And so now second chances is kind of in the universe, right? We're speaking about it a lot more. Even I remember in the podcast conversations, after this, it was, Survivors, what if we did a Survivor third time's a charm? That's when everybody starts like fantasy casting again. It brought more life into talking about, okay, well, what if we saw these other people come back? Neil is never in that conversation.
Yeah, and they would do game changers. If 4 people from this season would come back immediately, Neil was not in that conversation. I remember his Ponderosa video. He's like, in the Ponderosa video, he's in the gym at Ponderosa, like working out for his return to Survivor.
He did like a mile or two the next day after coming out of the hospital. I was like very impressed with the amount of work he was putting into it, and they can see him. I know what he was thinking. Like, production's gonna see me. I'm in fighting trim. Jeff literally told him, "Neil, you did nothing wrong. There was nothing you can do about this. It just happened." He didn't overexert himself for salt and pepper. So he's probably thinking, "Hey, Jeff's in on it. Everybody can see I'm fit. I was going to survive this round. He knows it was Aubrey and not him." And so he's like, I'm a natural. Bring me back. I think maybe Michelle ended up voting him out of the jury and his future attempts at being on Survivor.
I think he's more memorable for what Michelle did.
Oh, I mean, he could maybe he got like a really scathing jury speech. I mean, you can imagine him having one. I mean, look
Yeah,
at
I
what he
guess so.
said.
He could have gone like real scorched earth on Michelle at the final tribal council.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of tried to do it anyway. Like, I
Yeah,
think that you think you're anyway. We'll do that. We'll save it for when it's time. But I think that speech was a little seed of what we could have
sneak
got from
preview.
Neil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about it from the Aubrey perspective, and then we'll go through and talk about it. There was so much in this episode, but the Aubrey perspective is so wild here because what a sliding doors moment where she's going to be the person voted out. We see it basically plain as day, where that the Braun tribe it's going to be either Aubrey or Neil, and Kyle Jason is able to clock early on this episode. Really, Sydney is able to clock early in this episode that Neil has the idol. They're not going to put the votes on Neil. They're going to put the votes on Aubrey and get him to flush his idol. And there's this courtship that goes back and forth of the Braun is courting the Beauties, and that we hear it a lot from Nick is really the narrator for a lot of this. But we hear from Kyle Jason that like, hey, the homecoming queen is not going home with the nerds, is going with the jocks, and we're shoving nerds into lockers, he says.
It's a good quote. It's not fun, but it is a
Not
good
fun.
quote. Yeah, it's a good quote. Because that's really what it is. I think narratively this season does work in a lot of ways because of that. David versus Goliath. I think that season is another season that really works narratively because the Davids are able to do things that you would expect someone who is a David versus a Goliath would be, right? Like that, the odds are against them, but they still find a way. And so this time around, it's like Brains, Beauty, and Brawn, but we find the Beauty in a swing position where do they go to the prom with the head quarterback or do they go to the prom with the valedictorian?
Yeah, that's
Are
how
they,
Nick puts it. That's a lot more artful way of saying it.
yeah, and I mean it's essentially what it is, right? But what you like you said earlier, Nick and Michelle kind of land on. I think we can outsmart the Bronze, and so we don't really have to worry about them as much. Like, and then Michelle even says no one's going to vote for Scott to win this game. No one's going to vote for Jason to win this
Yeah.
game. We would have to be concerned about someone like Aubrey, and she's right.
Yeah. So they have a really good read of it. It seems like it's Michelle and Nick who are the decision makers. They're not really including Julia or Ty. I mean, Ty is already locked in with Scott. Julia seems fond of Scott, so it seems like that there's not too much friction to keep the Beauties together. But the Beauties do hold all the power here.
Yeah, and Nick is the one who really like you said, narrates this episode, but he's the one who points out that it's so clear that Ty and Scott are a thing, right? Like he's found his new beast mode, and when it comes to Julia, he says, "I'm reading that maybe she like got saved by Scott last round
Mhm.
because yeah, why are y'all moving like this?" Like, so I think from Nick and Michelle's point of view, y'all don't even have these people y'all think y'all have. Debbie is saying, no, we have Ty. Oh no, I think we could get Michelle too. And oh no, we can get Julia, but we have Ty. We could probably get this. No, you can't. You can't get any of those people. So not only are you kind of like pushing people away with the way you're handling them, also you don't really have the persuasive tactics that you think. And so Nick's like, never mind. We're just gonna have to go with the other side. And he likes Aubrey a lot. He says, I would
Yeah.
love to play with Aubrey the most in the game, but seems like she's gonna take the L here for sure.
I want to go back to you listen to the exit interview with Neil.
I
And
did.
I'm sure we asked Neil about whether or not he was thinking about giving the idol to Aubrey, right?
Yeah,
What
of
did he
course.
say?
Um, he said that, he said a lot of things. Okay, let me see if I can break it down. So he said in the moment the night before that we knew that potentially somebody would be going home due to a medevac because we knew the doctors were coming. Me and Aubrey were sitting on the beach, and I told her I had an idol, and she was like, "Hey, it's probably going to be me or you, but if it's got to be me or you, I'm willing to slit your throat." He's like, "Oh, well, I didn't like to hear that," and so when he's going out, a part
Aubrey
of
said
him
that to him?
that's what he said, that
Yeah.
she told him to his face that if it's me or you, I'm picking me, basically. And so a part of him felt a way about that statement. And so not great on Aubrey to kind of put a like an exclamation point on like, look, it's every man for itself, especially when you need
Yeah.
this man to do something for you.
I have to be honest, it does not really sound like Aubrey.
It actually does to me, honestly,
Yeah.
because Aubrey doesn't really mince words. She's to me, she's like the person who would tell you something like that.
Mhm.
I just takes me back to her and Genevieve on the beach, right?
Yeah.
Genevieve's like, Aubrey, I really want to work with you. I really do. And Aubrey's like, nah. Like,
Yeah.
she's giving her like I don't know. And but in her defense, I do think it's absurd for Neil to be offended by something like that, right? Like it's either you or her. She
Yeah.
can't pick her. She's not gonna be like, all right, vote me out. Keep your idol. I hope you win the game. Once
Yeah.
you're medevac, throw her a bone. That's how I feel.
So the way you're talking about it, and I wanna make sure that I'm getting this correctly because I
Go
did
on.
not listen to Neil's exit interview. You make it sound like that the challenge was the day before people got medically evacuated.
That's what he makes it sound like.
Yeah.
He said that me and Aubrey talked, and we were already sus that the doctors were coming. And so with that knowing that, I told her about the idol. And because I told her about the idol, she then told me that she would be willing, his exact words were to slit my throat. You, the interviewer that you are, said, what do you mean by that? And he's like,
Yeah.
and he says, well, like you say, dude, what do you mean by that? Is it she wants to slit your throat like she's targeting you? Did y'all have a falling out? Or is she just choosing her over you? And he said, it's a little bit more of that. She's just choosing her over me, but you still don't want to hear it. Then he goes on to say, and in a way, I did kind of pass her the idol because I gave her my sports jacket. And there was stuff in the
Oh,
pockets of
like
my sports
Genevieve
jacket.
did.
Yeah, exactly. I gave her my sports jacket, and there was stuff in the sports jacket, and it might have looked like she had an idol, and that's almost as good as having an idol, right? And to that, I said, "What, Neil? What?"
Yeah. What did you mean by that, Neil? Yeah.
And then he goes on even further to say what I think he really wants to say, which is, I don't have anything else from my experience except for an infection. I wanted something to take home, and it was that idol, and I have that. And I think that in the moment, that's probably what he's thinking. But also, once we know what happens with Neil and his time on the jury, I think it's all he has. It's his
That's all he
Gigi's
has.
pizza. Yeah.
Yeah. But I love that his legacy is that he saved Aubrey, that he didn't have to give her the idol.
But he
He
could have
saved
he could have actually saved Aubrey. But he did not. He died for Aubrey's sins. Because Aubrey should not be at the bottom of this tribe. If Aubrey
Yeah.
wasn't playing reckless last round, I think she might have even had a little bit more runway. But she comes in this round with so many enemies. She just
Yes.
voted against Scott and Julia and left them both in the game.
Julia Crossout was not ideal. Scott seemed really pissed about it. Honestly, it was less of a big deal than I remembered. I thought that people were either going to be talking about it the whole episode. It really was not talked about too much outside of the opening minutes of the episode, but you think it was on the mind of Scott.
He's not thinking I can now work with Aubrey. There's no world
Mhm.
where that's a thing, right? But had you just doubled down and said, okay, Scott, we're with you, maybe there is an illusion that, okay, Scott's like, okay, it can't be Aubrey because Aubrey's with us. Let's just split the vote on Neil and somebody else at the bottom, maybe Debbie, Aubrey, because Joe is not on the bottom with Aubrey. Joe is not. Aubrey played herself into a corner. Joe
Yeah.
has managed to dodge these bullets.
I just don't know if it was Ty, like who deceived Joe and Aubrey and Peter to make them think that they had the votes to it. We talked about this in the last episode that what did they think was going to happen? How did they ever think that this plan was viable?
I don't know. It's like there's a seventh person on this tribe that's voting this fourth person in their voting
Yeah.
block. Because I'm like, the numbers don't add up.
Maybe they thought that Scott was going to not want to go to Rocks for Julia. Is that possible?
They put a lot of faith in that.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of faith in that, and I just don't know why they would. Don't get like. I just don't know. I don't know. And then to go as far as write her name down and scratch it out. But I did learn this because I listened to the Exit Breast. I also listened to This Week in Survivor History.
Yes.
Aubrey's not the first person to scratch out a name. Do you know the first time a name got scratched out in Survivor history?
Who?
It's happened twice prior to this that Jordan Kalish was able to flag up.
Yes. What do you find?
Apparently, it happened in Borneo
Mhm.
because insert name here was trying to vote for Suhak and she wasn't eligible to be voted for or something like that, so she had to cross it out. So that doesn't matter. And then
Okay.
Hayden Moss apparently voted
Oh,
for
at the Brad Culpepper?
yeah, and the way this came up is because you pointed out that this week in Survivor history, Twitter introduced GIFs. You now can use those on Twitter, and the first Survivor GIF you see is Hayden Moss with his scratched out Brad Culpepper vote.
Wow, I don't remember that being a rollout on Twitter of that you could do a GIF.
Yeah, look at that. So thanks to you and the history of
Jordan.
Twitter, yeah,
Yeah.
I found that out. And so yeah, this was not good. This was not good. And now Aubrey just like stumbles onto the bottom of the pecking order here. But thank God
Yeah.
for or infection for what happened to Neil because Aubrey gets to live another day.
But Aubrey has the beautiful confessional at the end of the episode where the famous Oregon Trail confessional. And to me, it has an added meaning knowing the journey that she's going to go on, where she talks about how you have to ford every river, you have to caulk every wagon, you have to go up the hills and down the hills. And sometimes you get dysentery and die. You have to pave your own way.
Yeah, the path for you is not the path for everybody, right? Some people get to come in, dominate their first season of Survivor and win the season of Survivor, and then that's it. That's their story. Some people play multiple times and then they finally get to the mountaintop. Some people will play 6, 7 times and never get there.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And their legend will be written by the people who watched their journey, but it's all about the journey, right? It's all about how you got there. You're doing a series right now where you're talking about who the GOAT of Survivor is, right? And all of those people have different paths. You got a 2-time winner who did it their first time out, a 2-time winner who took a few times, 2-time winner who got one internationally, one person who only won once, and then a person who has never won. And all of those people are in the same conversation. So yeah, sometimes
Mhm.
you get dysentery and you die.
You
Gotta
know,
forge your own path.
it used to be that we talk about it's bad to be Aubrey's friend on Survivor, that bad things happen to people who were Aubrey's allies on Survivor. And we see it with Neil. We'll see it with Joe. We'll see it when she comes back in Survivor Game Changers with Malcolm and with JT. And unlucky things happen to Aubrey's friends. Survivor 50 kind of flipped that around. Bad things happen to Aubrey's enemies. Somehow, like the karma flipped.
Aubrey is a very lucky player. She's a good player, but she's very lucky, and luck is such a big part of Survivor. Just in this season alone, look how things are happening just because of infections. We've never seen anything like this before, and all of a sudden, the first time Aubrey plays, people are getting medevac left and right. She
Not
comes
her.
down. Yeah, she dodges all of that, right?
Mhm.
And because of these other medevacs, she's able to go so far into the games. She comes back and plays again. Sari gets Sari Mageddon down right next to her. And
Yeah.
she's like, whoa, that's crazy. Like these things are happening right next to Aubrey, and she's dodging. Luck is such a big part of her journey. I mean, even if you look at season 50, so many things had to happen
Oh,
for Aubrey to end up in a spot where she could win like that. And it happened and she won. And that's the beauty of this game, right? Like you can't predict it, but
they cut her from season 50 and added her back in.
if she hadn't done talking with T-Bird with you, she might not have even done 50. Remember, she was like, I actually never thought about playing Survivor again, but
Yeah.
now that you
Yeah.
mention it, I could do that. I could see myself
So
doing that.
it's pretty amazing. So
Yeah.
Aubrey also seemed a little hot with Neil about that. She was really upset that he didn't give her the idol.
Just saying, you son of a bitch. Just that son of that SOB Neil, that you ice cream scooping mother flopper. Like she was
You little puppy.
this little puppy suckling at the damn teat. No, she wasn't loving it, but I think she was more just kind of like it felt like in the moment that everything was going wrong for her. Like we're talking about how lucky she is, but in the moment, Aubrey feels like the most unlucky person. She feels like she's even more unlucky than Neil because the way she's talking about it, she's like, Neil's evacuated. and now I've lost my number one ally. I'm at the bottom of the tribe. I watched the idol get carted off with him. Where else can I go? What else can I do? What else do I have? And yet she doesn't even realize how lucky she is. Neil says it kind of tongue in cheek, like, y'all about to count your blessings. But at the same time, no, seriously,
Mhm.
count your blessings. Because without Neil going out like this, we probably never see Aubrey play again.
Yeah. So it's amazing. It's amazing, and this is just like one part of the journey.
Yeah, she's
And
got
it's
a
all
fun
gonna be
road to
uphill from
watch.
here for
Yeah,
Aubrey.
but I like that. I like the stories of Survivor that aren't as clean cut, right? The ones that you come in, oh, you saw them play a good game, they ended. That's cool or whatever. But more entertaining is like the Tyson route, right? Oh, kind of the goofball don't really know what's going on. Oh, he really don't know what's going on. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh, Tyson's really good at Survivor. Where'd that come from? And then you find yourself at Winners at War being like, can Tyson win Survivor again? Can this is this gonna happen? You kind of get hype
Mhm.
about it. I think the journey is very fun for a lot of the players. And for Aubrey, yeah, mapping her road to victory in Survivor 50, it starts with stuff like this.
Yeah. This was really epic how everything comes together with these three tribes, or the two tribes now going into the merge. And we picked things up in this episode from the the aftermath of Aubrey voting for Julia and then crossing it out. And Scott is pissed. He's gonna write down Aubrey and Joe on his paper and just keep crossing them out until he gets to what he wants to vote for.
She really made a lifelong enemy with Scott here. And I don't really know what they were telling him because he's so offended that they did not vote with him to vote out
Mhm.
Peter. So they must have been saying, yeah, we're going to vote out Peter. We're going to vote out Peter. Scott, there's no way Scott thought that, there's no way that they thought Scott was with them. Not the way that they were, not the way he's acting right now. He kind of even berates Joe, which is pretty cool to see because Joe been berating other people up to this point. And so Scott's kind of like, nah, Joe, you don't get to come over here with that nonsense. You voted incorrectly, and we're not gonna let it go.
Yep. And we're going to see Scott get back together with Jason, and that they're back thick as thieves. And this sort of ends like the run that Scott had of being pretty likable for the entire swap.
Yeah, yeah. I think he's still fine-ish on this episode,
Yeah.
but it is about to go downhill from here.
And they bring in the mayo jar very quickly. You know, that they have the Scott and Jason and Ty, and then also they're sharing a lot of information with Nick. Nick, who's narrating most of this, he says that maybe they had too much rum.
Yeah, they come out and tell Nick about the idol for no reason. Like
Mhm.
don't get me wrong, it's how you forge bonds and all this other stuff, sure. But y'all just met. You just met, right? They just met him. They
Yep.
don't like they weren't swapped with him. They haven't formed some type of bond with him other than this. They just met this man. I get it. He's beautiful, but come on, like stand up. This is embarrassing.
Yeah.
But it goes back to what you're saying. Scott hasn't seen a lot of Survivor, so I don't think he really understands the magnitude of what a secret idol will do for you.
So we see that Sydney, before they go to the merge, she clocks that Neil has the idol in his pocket. It's not Mount St. Neil, it's the idol that's in his pocket. And she tells Jason, she's like, check, get a load of this guy. He's got the idol. And Jason's like, we gotta go after Neil immediately. But this season, there's a super idol. And if you have two, then you could play it after the vote. And so
Yeah.
they wanna work with Ty. Scott immediately, like, clocks when Ty has the idol, like, "Oh, okay, we have this idol, and then also Jason has an idol, so this is a big deal." But Jason, when he finds out that Neil has the idol, is like, "We gotta take out Neil."
Yeah, they're not threatened by Ty. They think Ty's gonna let us do whatever we want. If we want to use the idol with Ty, he's just gonna do it. Neil's not gonna play ball with us, and so they might as well just get him and his idol out. I think there might have been an opportunity there to do something, but to me, the more fascinating thing is Neil allegedly walking around with his idol in his pocket like that, because you would think that that'd be something that you did not do, right? That you
Mhm.
wouldn't like walk around with a visible bulge in your pocket.
Yeah, it's rare. Unless you're trying to make people think you have the idol, you typically would not walk around with the idol in your pocket.
And Neil says he did not have the idol in his pocket at any point of the game.
Did he call it his family jewels at one point?
Yeah, because he was not talking about his pocket. Neil says it's canon that Neil's idol was not in his pocket.
He's like, all I have to do is reach into my family jewels and pull this little thing out.
Yeah, it was in his coin purse, not his wallet. And so that's why that scene is so funny to me, because Sydney, eagle eyes, she's looking for it. She finds the bulge. She says, that's probably an idol. I know what one looks like. Jason says, I know that's an idol because I have one. I'm like, Jason, close. You probably do have whatever that Neil has, but that's not the idol. That is not an idol in his pocket. He is happy to see you. The idol is somewhere else.
See, I thought he has cargo pants on. I thought that you can see that he has the idol in there. You're saying that no,
Neil
that's not...
said that I did not have the idol in my pocket, but in the episode, because exit press, we know it's not canon. But in the episode, he said, I will reach into my family jewels. And Rob, I've never heard of anybody referring to the cargo pants pocket as the family jewels. Sorry. The man said in the episode, the junk was in his junk. And so he says in his exit press with you that he had like yarn and stuff like that in his pocket because you never know when you're going to need something like that. Maybe to fashion a fake idol.
So they found
like
the fake stuff that was in his sport coat.
The stuff that he told Aubrey would be, it's kind of like an idol. Put the idol in there, fool. So very funny to me that all of this drama behind Neil having an idol was really Neil having an idol in his crotch and not in his pocket.
We get some Mark the Chicken action in this episode. We haven't seen too much of, I don't even think it's officially named Mark, but I had a couple of moments that are sort of like burned in my brain that were sound clips where Ty is fussing with the chicken. And he's,
oh my God, look at the chicken.
And Joe is opining that the chicken is actually doing better than he is in the game. That he would rather be in the position of the chicken, which is then jumping up and eating Ty's coconut from him.
No.
Ow. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the chicken will make it to the final tribal council, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Joe will not.
No. Okay. We had our merge feast here, which was also kind of a banger. And Nick is narrating so well. And Debbie is... Now, I think that Debbie goes on to say she was faking being drunk here.
Oh. Did she come off drunk to you?
When she's talking about how she has talking about Nick's good looks.
Is that not on par for what we've been seeing Debbie saying?
Yeah,
the whole
but
season?
Publicly it did seem a little bit, but I don't know if that's in her exit interview or somewhere down the road. Maybe even talking with T-Bird, that she does say that she's she pretends to drink.
Oh, yeah. She's talking about how, listen, Nick, you're adorable and I want to cuddle with you, but I'm happily married, so back off.
I didn't know this.
That's what she said. I didn't know she was married either. But she's like, nah, this is all fun in the games. So Debbie's about the shenanigans. I'll give her that.
Yeah. But there's so many fun ways that the differences between the brawn and the brain are described in this episode. Nick has a really good one. He talks about how the brawn, they have big personalities. They're sort of extroverts. That's what brawn are. The brains, they like to hide in the shadows. They don't want to show, tell you what they're really up to.
I mean, if anything, he's definitely depicting Aubrey, right? I feel like that's probably Aubrey, the player, a little bit more. She's a little bit more, standoffish when it comes to the social settings, but she's willing and dealing in the background for sure. And that looks like it's appealing to Nick. Like, he doesn't seem like he's immediately drawn to the brawn. It's just that when he assesses the situation, it looks like the brawn will be easier to beat.
Yep. And the brains are desperate. They have their 4, and they're really Debbie especially is going on offense to try to pull people in. It's not going great.
No, it's not. She goes to Ty, and she's like, all right, Ty, I like you, and I want you. So we're in an alliance now. How you feel about that? He's like, She's like, yeah. So It's got me. I think we can get Michelle too. So it's the 6 of us. We're in the lines. We got the numbers. So welcome to the team.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about anything. We have an alliance now.
We're all good. I like you. You're lucky. You're lucky I picked you up off the street. Zaga like, I don't know about this. And especially because we know that Ty and Scott are tight. And it looks like it's obvious to everybody else because other people are talking about it. Debbie seems to be the only one. Aubrey says, who's handling this? Not finessey, is what she said. She's
not
doing this in a way that's not finessey.
No. Debbie
finessey
is talking to Aubrey, and Debbie is excited to see Aubrey, and she talks about their alliance and how good they are together. She says that we are like salt and pepper. We are like ebony and ivory, she said.
Light-skinned Aubrey's already here, huh? She got here way before season 50. I knew she was coming this season, but I didn't know when she would go pop in. Light-skinned Aubrey, that's my girl, love me light-skinned Aubrey.
Yeah.
Salt and Pepper did get Caleb out of the game. So,
That's true.
Maybe that's who they are here.
Yeah, I just thought it was so wild that was how she said, like, hey, we go together. We're like ebony and ivory.
Yeah, ebony and ivory, salt and pepper. What other 90s rap group could they be?
Yeah.
Go Debbie.
Go Debbie. So let's see. Debbie, she's on offense. She wants to go to Michelle also. We see that Debbie and Michelle are talking with Aubrey. And Debbie is saying, like, hey, well, this is what we need you guys, but we got this. That we just need to get to 6.
I don't think Michelle likes Debbie too much. She knew last episode Debbie was one of her few options, but now that she has more options, she's like, I don't think I'm doing the Debbie thing.
Yeah. Can we talk a little bit about the Julia and Michelle with Scott and Jason? It was not really something that I think in the real time, I knew that they were closer as the season went on. But it does seem like that they do vibe better with Scott and Jason than they do with the Brains.
Julia is with Scott and Jason for sure. I think Michelle is kind of still just like, she's Michelle. She gets along with everybody. It's what she does. And so she's like, I could go with Debbie or I could go with Scott and Jason. But she's also telling us all the reasons why they are not good at the game, right? So she tells us about Debbie and how she's coming on so strong. But she says, Jason's a jerk. No one's going to vote for him. And Scott is rich. No one's going to vote for him. So she's making her decisions kind of based on who she thinks she can beat or how far she's going to go in the game. Whereas it looks like the bond Julia formed with Scott during the swap is really what brought that side together.
Yeah. So there's this big tug of war for really all of the beauty, and Scott and Jason are ultimately winning. Not a lot of Sydney in this episode. We don't really see her part in all of this.
No. She's still with the Brawn right now, but that probably is about to turn. But yeah, she's like I think she saw the Neil thing, right? And once she sees Neil has an idol, for Sydney, it makes total sense to be on this split plan, right? We'll put some votes on Neil, put some votes on Aubrey. Aubrey is more threatening in the game to Sydney than Neil is. And so she's fine if Aubrey goes here, and hopefully they can get Neil's idol out at the same exact time.
Yeah, I thought this was a really well depicted. I mean, this was a 42-minute episode, but I guess with no tribal council, we really had a lot of time to give us the lay of the land at the post-merge.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about it really. I mean, they only do one challenge here, right? They only do
just
the
immunity,
the hold your balls on the disc challenge. And so because of that, we didn't spend a lot of time just kind of like sitting around watching people do stuff. Like we got to see what everybody was thinking at the merge. So it was a very active merge. We saw pretty much where everybody stood, not so much from their own point of view, but we got a good lay of the land of like how it lands on, okay, it's going to be Aubrey or Neil. Because there were definitely other options out there, but all signs and all roads led right back to those two.
Was there a better way the Brains could have approached this?
Okay, so you gotta take Aubrey out the equation, right? I feel like she's burnt Scott altogether, so she's all in with who's ever anti-Scott. So I think that going to Nick is the right move, but Nick's not gonna work with. I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't think
It
so.
just feels like that Debbie was not great to pull people in. Seems like that Michelle didn't really love Neil. Seems like that wasn't really where, like, there's just no inroads there.
Yeah, this was not the social, kind of standing that you would wanna have coming into a merge because 'cause they're down in numbers, so
Mhm.
you would think, these sides would wanna pick them up, but, like, no, they've all merged into kinda like one healthy group, and then the brains are like, "Wait, how are we on the outside of this? You should want to work with us."
Yeah, you
They're
pissed
like,
off the Brawn
yeah, they
and
they
yeah.
pissed off the Brawn and the Brains. I mean, the Brawn and the Beauty at the same exact time by voting for Julia and writing her crossing her name out. Julia, you pushed her away, So if she has any sway over Ty and Michelle, they're not coming with you.
Yeah.
They really in a tight spot. And honestly, they would have been worse off if Peter was here too.
And this dynamic was also playing out on that other tribe that Michelle was on, where that Jason and Sydney were trying to pick up Nick and Michelle, and also Debbie and Neil were trying to pick up Nick and Michelle.
And if you had any question of where they're going to end up going, it does feel like there's a lot of antisocial energy coming from the brains. And so,
Yeah, they weren't good at this.
yeah, they
What are you
weren't
gonna what
good
are
at
you
the
gonna
socializing
do?
part.
What are
Yeah.
you gonna do?
I mean,
You
it's personality wise, that's a reason why they play so many times. Aubrey and Debbie play back to back. I think because they are, big characters.
Mhm. Now, we do get that challenge that you mentioned, the balls on a disc. Jeff's feeling it also.
Oh yeah, he loves feeling the balls on the disc. Him saying balls and disc over and over again in different
Yeah.
iterations. You never want to see your balls touch like that. You never want that to happen. Like, okay,
Yeah, well,
Jeff,
I think he said that balls were going in opposite directions, and he said, "You never want
you
that."
hate to hate. You get like the
You hate
cut
to
to
see
tie.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. This was Jeff, Freaky Frog Jeff, back in the day. He don't really. Do we do the balls on the disc anymore? I feel like
I
we
wanna say they've
must.
done it in the new era.
Yeah, I feel like we must. It's a
Mm,
staple.
it's a ready, set, stand still challenge, so I'm sure they use them all.
Cost $20 to produce at this point.
Mhm.
Like they use the same apparatus. All right, bro, dust off the balls and discs and
Yep.
see what happens for this one. Yeah, it was a easy peasy challenge.
Good job by Nick winning immunity here. Nick will win immunity in this challenge, but then has still never been to tribal council.
Yeah,
Him and
wonder how that's
Michelle.
gonna go.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That although his time is coming soon.
he'll be there soon enough.
He'll be there soon enough. But yeah, this was really fun to, even though there was no vote, fun episode.
Yeah, it was fun. I think that they let the characters be, and the characters had a lot going on here. There were jockeying for position. We saw some strategic conversation. We saw some new bonds forming, and then we even saw the downfall of Neil. And it was an emotional downfall, right? And to me, Neil's medevac is like the least emotional for the normal reasons. The
Mhm.
normal reasons is you never want to see anybody's game end like this. They were so young. They were the best of us. They almost had it. They would have won the whole thing. This time it was Aubrey being like, he took my damn idol. What am I to do? Like the one person who really looked emotional about this was Aubrey.
Yeah. It's just really interesting how Neil's exit is just completely from Aubrey's POV. And I don't remember that. Like when Joe Dowdle gets out, it's not like that. Like one person, like, oh, Joe Dowdle, that was my guy. I
He
can't
would have
believe it.
did
How are
it.
we going to move on without Joe?
Yeah, this was her. But even then, it wasn't like she was like, "Damn, me and Neil, we were gonna run this whole thing. Neil, I'm gonna do it for you." This isn't Natalie losing Nadia and being like, like I gotta
Or
avenge you,
Jeremy.
or avenge, yeah, or Jeremy, who she'd only known for a week. This is this is Aubrey losing her number one ally and being like, that son of a bitch
Mhm.
took the idol. He took the damn idol. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna get dysentery. I'm gonna
You're going to
die.
get $2 million in a car.
She could have got. She could have. She could have got. It could have been worse. This could have been worse. She was really close. To me, she's really close to getting medevac. I would love to
Mhm.
hear kind of the like the follow up to the season after. Like, I want to know how Aubrey's health was after the season. I know emotionally she's going to go through a lot because of how things end up.
Yeah.
But being that halfway through the game, her health is really a concern of the producers and the doctors. I wonder if she had any like lasting infections. I know that a lot of people did.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about Liz and Peter had to go to the hospital, and I don't know, maybe now that Peter's not around, things are improving.
Stop lancing these things. Stop.
Yeah, just
Stop.
like, you know what? We're gonna just, like, stop touching the thing.
I think Dr. Rupert said that aloud so we would all know too. Like, if I
Mhm,
lance this, it will let the infection out, but infection can
mhm.
get in. So you rewind the tape back to episode 1 when we're talking about lancing things on a deserted island. These are things you should remember that you probably shouldn't be doing on your own. But to me, I just think production should stand in at that point. Like, should step in. Hey, I'm recording you. Hey, don't stop touching that.
Mhm.
Stop touching your little infection. Stop that. Stop it.
Put a
Stop. No, you
Band-Aid
can't
on
lance
it.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
or something. I don't know. This is a crazy season for all of this to kind of hit a head right here in the middle. And now it's about to just like take off at a breakneck speed.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna start running downhill soon.
I kinda feel like this wouldn't bother me if they had, like, some antibiotic ointment, and they could just put it on it and then put a Band-Aid on it. It wouldn't take me out of the show as a viewer.
Me neither. And maybe they do now, right?
Maybe they do,
Maybe
yeah.
they do now. Cause I think, oh man, don't let me lie on Kobe. Did Kobe say he got sick in the game on Survivor 50?
I wanna say, you know what? That we're talking about antibiotics. I kinda feel like that maybe Colby, had said in his exit interview that they had him on some kind of
That's
antibiotic.
what I'm thinking. Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking. So I think maybe this is a thing now. I
yeah.
don't know if it was a thing before Kaôh Rōng, but I think it's a thing now where if it's something that we can just throw a little flesh-colored Band-Aid on, let's
Mhm.
just do it and move
Let's
on.
do it.
Yeah. The more I think about it, yeah, I know they give them bandages now for sure.
Mhm,
Because there's one scene in Survivor 50 where something happens and I was like, oh my God. And they're like, oh, it's just a Band-Aid. I was like, okay. That was
mhm.
like a gash on somebody. I have to really think back to who it was. But yeah, I think Kaôh Rōng taught them a lot of lessons and we'll see maybe some changes for the better.
Yep. Anything else for you from episode 7?
Hmm. No, I think this was fun. This is a it's a good turning point in the season because like if you're watching this, right, and you are becoming an Aubrey fan, this is the beginning of Aubrey's kind of like run to history, right? Like everything up to this now has been the bumpy roads, but to me, at this point, Aubrey's about to kind of take the game by, by the wheel and just kind of drive this thing on to the end. And
Mhm.
maybe I just don't remember Kaôh Rōng accurately, but I remember in the real time thinking like, dang, this sucks. But then after this, being very impressed with whatever she's able to do. So we'll see.
Yep. All right, we'll see when we get to episode 8, things are really gonna pick up in the back half of the season.
We'll see.
We'll see. Okay. All right, Chappell, what's coming up for you?
Recap kickback. We are now talking about House of the Dragon. That recap should be out
Yep.
by the time you hear that hear this. But you will also have heard the first couple recaps of Interview with the Vampire on recapkickback.com. Go hit that subscribe button, youtube.com/@recapkickback. If you're listening to this 10 years from now, just going through old Kaôh Rōng
Oh, wow.
podcast, still go click like
20
on
years
the
after Kaôh Rōng.
yeah, 20 years later, 20 years
Yeah,
greater.
what's it like in 2036?
I don't know, but are we still talking about GIFs on Twitter? Probably not. So yeah, check out Recap Kickback. Follow Recap Kickback on all social media platforms at Recap Kickback.
And now and 2036.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, by 2036, it should be a whole thing. Hopefully, it has
Yeah.
more than 3,000 followers.
All right.
We shall see.
Thank you so much for joining us. Looking forward to episode 8. Take care. Have a good one. Bye. This is RHAP. We know reality TV.